Hey, welcome to Adventures with Peps. It's me, it's Peps. You're not going to see my beautiful face this week. We are just going to jump straight into a painting tutorial. You're going to watch me paint up some Executioner today, a Space Marine chapter that I'm pretty fond of after reading their story and painting this model. It's mostly contrast paints, as you'll end up seeing. It's quick, it's dirty. I really enjoy it. I hope you do too. As always, drop me a like, drop me a subscribe, and drop me a comment. Say hi below. Cheers. So step 1, over a black primer, I dry brushed it with lead belcher, and then I'm using some of the Leviathan blue contrast paint over the top. I'm just completely slapping it on. And whilst I'm doing this, we're going to learn a bit about the Executioner's history. The Executioners is an ancient and proud chapter whose origins are found in the chaotic centuries following the Horus Heresy. This chapter are proud successors to the Imperial Fists Legion. Their creator was supposedly one of Primarch Rogel Dawn's most ruthless captains, by the name of Ran. Probably pronouncing that wrong, everyone. Aside from an unbreakable sense of honor and a history of unparalleled skill at arms, they share little in common with their forebears' culture and traditions, nor do they maintain any strong ties to any but their own successors within the Space Marine chapters. Some of their fellow Space Marines view the Executioners as little more than ill-disciplined primitives and gore-splattered headhunters, little better than the Renegades. Yet, far from being a chapter composed of nothing more than barbarous hordes in Space Marine armor, one must consider that the Executioners have a high degree of blood-bought battle wisdom and possess a certain cunning that has enabled them to attain a record of unwavering success in their service to the Imperium. The Executioners chapter was based on the Imperium's fringes alongside the desolate void wastes of the galactic southwest, between the borders of Segmentum Tempest and Segmentum Pacificus. Although in its long history it has been accustomed to great voyages and forlorn quests, having fought the width and breadth of the Imperium in the past. Since the closing years of the 37th millennium, the chapter had made its home on the twin worlds of Stygia and Aquilon, both infamous planets of fire and ice locked in a perpetual orbit eclipsing around a giant, slowly dying sun. The chapter's fortress monastery was a huge armored asteroid base known as the Draken Vault, which is gravitationally trapped in the point between these two worlds. It was from this bleak and foreboding bastion that the Executioner's skull-proud warships sailed forth into the galaxy in search of targets to destroy. That was until the Executioners mistakenly sided with the Astral Claws during the Badab War. After that conflict, they were judged by the Imperium and ordered to undertake a 100-year-long penance crusade during which they could not take in any aspirants to replace their losses. The Executioners' twin chapter worlds were given over in trust to the Salamanders chapter and their own successors rather than forfeited entirely, to be returned to them should they endure their 100 standard years of strife. Okay, I've turned to the trusty tome to find out how I should actually be marking up these squads, and this is a sergeant model, I believe, for an intercessor squad. So I'm using this veteran sergeant model as my inspiration. As you can see, he's got a bronze shoulder on the right with the Legion logo. He's got his kneecap and he's got the skull, and there's some red accents, so that's what we're going to aim for. To achieve this, we're going to use the lead belcher base color, and I'm just going to go over his right shoulder pad, left knee pad, and his helmet. And whilst I'm doing that, we'll read a bit more about the Executioners. The Executioners adhere very strictly to the tenets of the Codex despite their barbaric and unsophisticated reputation. The chapter's structure and organization follows the Codex closely, with only a tendency towards close-range firefights and brutal hand-to-hand combat. These tactics are preferred by the chapter's battle brothers, so as to more rapidly prove themselves in decisive combats, rather than using hit-and-run tactics and long-range firepower. Within the chapter's battle companies, this tactical bias is represented by the replacement of one of the standard Codex-compliant Devastator squads for a Stern Guard veteran squad of the company's finest warriors. The use of assault bikes and attack bikes is disdained by the chapter, who prefer the use of land speeders for scouting duty and heavy armor wherever possible for assaults and reconnaissance in force. The Executioners maintain an unusually high number of chaplains compared to other chapters, with 3 chaplains or death speakers, as they are known to the Executioners, assigned to each company by tradition. They report to the overall High Chaplain of the chapter, known to the Executioners as the Lord Speaker of the Dead. As part of their duties, the Death Speakers are responsible for maintaining precise records of the chapter's battles, so that the lessons provided by both victories and defeats are never lost to future warriors of the chapter. Each Executioner company captain is treated as a warlord in his own right, with greater independence of action afforded to them in how they administer their companies than is typical in most other chapters. The captains, the chapter's chief librarian, the master of the forge, and the Lord Speaker of the Dead form a war council, which the High Executioner, the chapter master, must heed despite possessing ultimate authority. This war council may, by assent, overthrow the High Executioner should he prove unfit or unworthy in their eyes. Unlike the traditions of most Space Marine chapters, contests for leadership are quite bloody in the extreme. Each company captain has the right to challenge for the title of High Executioner, but in trial by combat should they wish to do so. The Executioners prefer to engage the enemy as closely as possible. This ensures victory and glory to the chapter. They are unafraid of battles of attrition or mutual destruction, relying on the abilities of their battle brothers to overcome and endure anything the enemy can throw at them. At times this has proven to be a flaw, as the chapter will keep fighting once engaged, where its better strategic judgment might have been to otherwise retreat or prevail before its bloodlust was roused. The Executioners believe that their chapter was created for the sole task of seeking out and slaughtering mankind's foes, rather than undertaking any more defensive or strategic purposes. This chapter is bellicose and almost barbarous in nature, and disdains martial trappings and the ordered obedience of other more Codex-compliant chapters, such as the Ultramarines and their forebearers the Imperial Fists. The Executioners have made up for this flaw by gaining a fearsome reputation for sheer undaunted endurance and destructive wrath. Their primary goal and purpose as a chapter is a simple one: to extinguish the lives of those that would have the audacity to contest the Imperium's manifested destiny or threaten humanity. The Executioners literally see themselves as the Emperor's chosen headsman, and his judgment theirs to enact on his behalf. This chapter's ancient ways and beliefs are rooted in the feral worlds from which it has long recruited its applicants. By the laws and traditions of their chapter, each Executioner's battle brother is expected to forge his own path to glory and become worthy of remembrance in the great chronicles that have been kept by the generations of the chapter's chaplains. It is the Death Speaker's task to recount the slaughter tallies of the chapter's honoured dead during holy feasts and memorial ceremonies held deep within the vaults. Their second but equally important task is to keep order within the ranks of the often fractious chapter. Consequently, the Executioners maintain an unusually high number of chaplains. As already mentioned, they have the 3 Death Speakers assigned to each company by tradition, who report to the High Chaplain, known as the Lord Speaker of the Dead. As part of their duties, the Death Speakers are responsible for maintaining precise records, both victories and defeats. It is only by the right of bloodshed, by taking the lives of the Emperor's enemies, that an executioner's battle brother can be granted the honour of a place in the chapter's chronicles, and thereby earn the respect of his fellow Space Marines, and so attain rank and honour within the chapter. Battle brothers of this chapter have an intractable and ambitious nature. Quick to anger, executioners are taught to avenge slights to their honour with blood, even amongst their own ranks. But unlike the few other chapters where such behaviour is tolerated or even encouraged, aka the Space Wolves, there is little that passes in the way of brawling or competition among the executioners, for all such battles are to the maiming or the death of those involved. Ugh, that doesn't sound good. Kill your own brothers over a spilled drink. In their extreme view, honour demands no less. Another disturbing fact of the chapter to outside observers is the tendency for the executioners to carry trophies from the battlefield, taken from particularly noteworthy victims, including such items as skulls, heads, and enemy weapons. They do not take these trophies for any ritual purpose, but rather than for the tally of the death speakers after the battle. They are then promptly discarded after serving their purpose, unless judged to be of particular significance, in which case they are preserved as relics, often adorning the Space Marine's armour or war gear for a time. The executioner's spiritual beliefs have also been called into question, but have endured since the rise of the cult of the Emperor. These beliefs primarily take the form of ancestor worshipping, and while they ascribe to the worship of the divine God Emperor, the executioners have little use for the church and its trappings and the... Okay, now we're on to the important bit, the chapter colours, which you can hopefully see me painting it during this video. The chapter's original scheme for its power armour was blue and grey in a style of camouflage. In older canon, using the original colour scheme, a single shoulder pauldron was often sometimes painted to denote the various squad designations. Green for tactical squads, yellow for assault squads, purple for devastator squads, or red for the scout squads. The executioner's contemporary colour scheme is a metallic-y blue-tinted gunmetal, with the faceplate, backpack, and sometimes the left shoulder pauldron being bronze. Did not read that beforehand, according to the Forge World book. At least the picture that I showed earlier in this video. It was the right-hand shoulder pad that was bronze. Well, there we go. One shoulder pauldron, which might include the helmet, can be yellow to denote senior status as a veteran Marine. Oh, maybe that's what it is from the book. I should have just kept on reading. Additionally, squad speciality markings, battle line, close combat, fire support, veteran or command are etched onto one of the armor's knee plates, while the designated squad is displayed on the other knee in a high Gothic numeral, which you've seen me do. I do a skull, as that could be anything, pretty much, and I think I made him second squad. The squad markings can also be displayed on one of the shoulders. Company markings are not displayed by the executioners. Dun, dun, dun. So you don't actually know what company they're from, which is nice because it just means I can paint them however I please and not have to worry about that kind of stuff. The executioner's original chapter badge was an axe on a red background. Contemporary chapter badge is that of twin ebon axes facing away from each other on a red shield, which you'll see me try to paint in towards the end of this video. This ancient symbol was commonly used by the ancient Space Marine legions, especially the Imperial Fists, to denote battle honor for triumph in Zone Mortalis operations. So that's like ship-to-ship battles, corridor, hive world type battles. Just it's a sign that you were a veteran of close quarter fighting. It also entered use during the opening days of the Horus Heresy as a particular badge for those who had served with the famous Ran. This symbol was often painted on boarding shields of the members of the Imperial Fists Legion Breacher siege squads. And that is pretty much their backstory. As you'll see, I've now reached doing the bronzed shoulder pad. I really enjoyed painting this model. If you follow any of my social media channels, you will probably now have seen that I've kind of set my goal to be this chapter. I appreciate that they're probably meant to be a bit more silvery than blue, but I kind of like how I've got them painted. Really enjoying the way they paint and how I can paint them to pretty decent quality. And I do feel this is going to be my chapter. So in the coming weeks, months, over this year, I'm signed up to the Imperium magazine, which means I will be getting some Space Marines in the mail. And as I get more and more, they will be painted up as executioners until I have a usable army. But I am going to continue with the painting of the Badab chapters. So far we got the Astral Claws and the Executioners. I really should do a Loyalist company at some point. But at the same time, I'm hearing the call of the Lamenters. Also, Mantis Warriors should be fun to paint. But I do think I'm going to have to attempt one of the Loyal chapters. Thinking Executionist. Not Executionist, that's what we're doing here. I am thinking of the Exorcists, just because they're bright red. It's a bit different from what I've been painting currently. I think it could be quite a fun one to do. The only problem is, I think I've got one more Intercessor model kicking around that I can paint. And then I have 3 Reavers. I think they're called Reavers. And I feel like for the Reavers, they need to be... I think one of the Reavers is going to be a Mantis Warrior. One is going to be a Raptor. Maybe one should be a Space Shark. So I think for the last Intercessor, I should go Exorcist. Makes the most sense to me. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think I should be painting. But I think it's going to be Exorcists. God, I keep forgetting what I'm painting. But anyway, I'm going to play some music. Let you watch. Got any comments? Drop them below. Any feedback, any of that groovy stuff, just let me know in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and thank you for watching. So here we go, the finished model. Not bad all in. I think probably took about an hour in total. I've definitely got a colour scheme that works. I'm very happy with this. I think the bronze, aka yellow, came out really well. I really love the way the armour looks. I just think this has genuinely worked for me. I can see an entire army on the tabletop looking like this and looking great for it. And yeah, I'm really genuinely happy with how this turned out. So I hope this tutorial has helped. I hope maybe this has inspired you to paint one and improve on where I've begun. And yeah, I hope to see you all soon. Like, comment, subscribe. Cheers for reaching the end.